It's a little late in the day, and I'm not as fresh at this time to be doing a podcast, but I didn't have a chance to get to it today. So I wanted to make a little announcement that I'm preparing for a guest appearance on the Typical Skeptic podcast. Links will be below on Tuesday, February 28th at 7 p.m. And I'll be talking really to their audience, which will be to bring some anthroposophy, but weave it into the type of program they usually have on Typical Skeptic. And then I seems I'm going to be on the Rudolf Steiner Branch Chicago Saturday workshop upcoming in the spring. I'm not sure exactly when. So I'm preparing to talk there about the moon. I've been fascinated by the moon lately. And I'm researching for a presentation with Grant Davis on Lemuria. And Lemuria has a whole lot to do with the moon. And I've been looking at Rudolf Steiner's later lectures where he's speaking to an English speaking audience. And he said that he needed to address that differently. So I've been listening to those, sort of trying to figure out what's different. And I find them very pictorial, very uh, telling a story in kind of story pictures. So I've been having fun with those story pictures of the moon. And I don't know, why don't I share a little one with you now? Just a quick one that the moon was at one time part of the earth, because if you understand that all the planets of the solar system were once one, all together in one, and they separated off at different times for different reasons, and the reasons were always to do with the speed of development of a group of beings that needed a different platform to either slow down or speed up, and have an atmosphere that was conducive to what they were working on next. And the earth, after the sun was removed, went through a period of pulling together and forming from an air form, mostly air, a little bit watery, foggy, into more watery with earth mixed in, like a mud. And then it started to harden too quickly. And the bodies that were being made out of this sludgy mud were no longer conducive to human souls who were reincarnating. Oh, and something really fascinating, and I have to use my hands, I'm sorry, as our bodies are congealing, we were really very fluidic. And at the beginning of Lemuria, Steiner said, if you think of the scent of flowers, that's actually a substance that's coming off of the flowers that you're taking in as the scent. And that's as dense as human bodies were at the beginning of Lemuria. You imagine being as dense as the scent of a flower. So that had to, we're now like this. There was a process involved. So as that came closer and closer into bodies, there was something to cast off. And as humans, the whole earth is in this area form state, moving towards a watery state. And as humans leave these bodies, as they become dense, a shell is left behind. Like now we leave a corpse. A shell was left behind, but there's no earth to bury it in. Those cast off shells formed the earth. These pictures are remarkable. You think of coral, that the coral is formed by the little beings leaving their shell behind and moving on it. creating a new one. So as we incarnated, formed a body around ourselves and excarnated, those cast off bodies were forming the earth. Only there was a force involved that was densifying it too quickly. There were beings involved densifying it too quickly. And that had to be drawn out, drawn forth, collected together, and removed. But in the process of that, Steiner speaks about blood vessels that the female body creates when there is a new life form being formed. And at no other time does the female body create all of these blood vessels that surround a sheath, creating a sheath, the embryonic sac, if I have that name right. Anyway, there's this, I never did have a child, so I don't know all the details of that one. It's a mystery to me. That this creation within the mother body is very much like the earth was creating within its body this separate entity, identity that was the hardening forces and the beings connected with the hardening forces. It needed a different arena for their further development. And then with the help of spirit beings, that was moved out and through the channel of the Pacific Ocean. That was the canal through which the moon substances were birthed out of the earth body or the earth moon body. Then the moon substances were removed and we had an earth body and a lunar body that then became a satellite. So I found that story really fascinating, to think of it all as this separating out and closing off. You think the body does that when it has infection. It'll push it into one place and close it off and then eject it. That is a natural organic process. So it's interesting to think of that as a process that the earth went through to take what was not going to work for it for the future. You could think of it as a toxicity being isolated and removed. And with it went spirit beings who needed that platform. So that is my little moon earth pregnancy moon birth tale today, from Steiner speaking in his later lectures to English speaking audiences. And I must say, I relate well to those kind of stories. I hope you do too. Stay tuned. We're going to be appearing around and about the internet town. I hope you'll stay tuned and watch, and we'll talk again soon.